Hey guys, today I have a bonus video for you with my amazing client, Victoria. So quick backstory is I've been working with Victoria for quite a while now. We actually first connected, I think maybe 3 years ago. So it's been quite a while. And ever since our work together, I've been looking through Victoria's system, which she teaches, which is helping people really become amazing speakers in front of any audience. So on live streams, webinars, meeting rooms, not so much stages right now, but in the future, once again, right? So all of that, and through seeing that, which I mean, Victoria has a really unique way of teaching this, which we're going to be talking about, and just through seeing the amazing results her students have gotten over her coaching and programs, I was like, all right, you need to come and share some cool stuff with my peeps. Cause I get questions all the time about, how do I show up on video? Like, Luisa, you talk about this needs to happen. It's such a great way to build my audience, but I'm not confident. What do I say? And, it's just not my zone of genius to talk about it. And it's Victoria's, right? So I'm so excited for us to be doing this, Victoria.
I am thrilled to be here. Thank you for having me, Luisa.
Oh my gosh, no. So yeah, we're gonna get right into it. I've got a few questions I prepared for you based on just what I know the most common questions are about this, and we're just gonna jump right in. So the number one thing, which we're just gonna get right out of the way, is that so many people are scared of even getting started. It doesn't matter the channel, videos, live streams, webinars, just being on camera just feels so scary. I get it because I've been there. And the thing is, what I did and what I usually say is just, just do it, right? Just do it. And I know you have just a lot more helpful things than that. And one of the things actually that really sets you apart is you actually do not recommend the common advice of just fake it until you make it. And, the confidence will come. Let's start there. Can you share a little bit more about that and what you do recommend?
I just started smiling as soon as you said, well, just do it, because this is such a common advice, right, guys? I mean, everybody always tells you, do it scared, just go and do it. Practice will make it perfect, and the confidence will come. But here is the thing. I don't know about you, but I've been in that boat myself. I myself, it's very ironic that I'm teaching public speaking right now when I myself used to be absolutely terrified of public speaking. You couldn't get me in front of a microphone. And the thing is, when I started my first business, I was in my early 20s, and I'm very old, by the way. So back then, there was no internet. Well, there was internet, but there wasn't internet like right now. So I had to go out there and actually meet with people and talk in front of people to promote my business. And just like Luisa said, everybody would tell me, hey, just go and do it. Just do it scared. And I did. And here's what I found. And I believe a lot of you may have encountered this as well. When you practice and practice and practice, very often nothing is happening and you're still as scared. And the reason for it is because you truly are practicing the wrong things. What you're doing is and I did the same thing, so I'm not trying to point any fingers here, but I would go in front of an audience, absolutely scared. I would feel like a fraud the whole time, because the whole time there is this little voice inside my head going like, what are they going to think of me? Are they going to think I don't know anything? Oh, I feel like a fraud. Oh, they're going to find out I am not really an expert, right? No matter how much you know, no matter how confident you are in your abilities off camera or off stage, right? As soon as you're in front of an audience, any audience, you immediately begin to doubt yourself. It's a reaction that all of us have. And when you continue practicing and going out in front of the audience, feeling this way, feeling like a fraud, feeling scared, and focusing on your fears the whole time, you're not getting much better. All you're doing is you're reinforcing that fear. You just keep on reinforcing that belief that in order for me to be confident on camera, I have to fake it. I have to pretend that I'm confident. I have to show up as somebody I'm not, otherwise they will see that I'm scared. And this is very, very important. And that's what a lot of my students tell me. That's what they felt. And that's exactly what I felt. So no, I do not recommend you go and do it scared. I do not recommend that you fake it till you make it, or that you just practice until you overcome your confidence, because in the process, you're going to do a lot of harm to your self-confidence. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I love that. I mean, you know, I always love it when someone has a really strong point of view based on your experience and what you know, because I will just tell you, even though I did, like, I mean, I'm never a fan of fake it till you make it, but I did do it scared. I'm an introvert. I am not natural on, like, I didn't, you know, when I first started, I was so nervous on video and I just brute forced it. Right. And so, based on thinking back to what you said for myself, like, I mean, I wasn't aware of thinking of all this at the time, but I do know that it took me so long. I mean, I had to do like daily live streams for I don't even know how long before I was like, okay, well, I just kind of, you know, brute forced over everything you just shared. Whereas it sounds like there's a way easier way to actually go about it.
There is an easier way. And you know, it's funny that you mentioned that you were scared on video, because I've never seen you scared on video. When I met you about 3 years ago virtually, you were so confident. But that brings another point. Guys, here's the thing. Maybe, and I don't know, Luisa, right? Maybe at that point you were still scared. A lot of times we feel a lot more scared than we appear. You cannot imagine how many people tell me, oh, but I am so scared. And then they show up live or they go on stage and nobody can tell. So don't, and I think it's a huge mental block for a lot of people. They say, well, but I'm scared. That's why I'm not going to go and, you know, do a live stream. I'm not going to go and promote myself in front of real life people. The first thing you have to remember is that nobody knows that you're scared unless you tell them that, which you shouldn't.
Right.
But when you show up on camera, people already see you as an expert, right? So that you have to remember that. When you show up on stage, people see you as an expert. So unless you tell them, I am really terrified of you people, they wouldn't know. So that the very first mindset shift that you have to make, you have to remember you feel a lot more scared than you appear. And that's the first thing you need to kind of get into your mind. But the biggest mindset shift that you have to make, and that's going to make everything so much easier, and it's going to make you feel so much more confident, is that people really don't need your fake facade. That's very, very important. You shouldn't be faking something you're not. You shouldn't be, and what a lot of people do is, you know, we all see these influencers, right? All over the web. And some of them are so amazing. We're just absolutely in love with them. And we feel like, if I was only a little bit like them, well, let me try to be like them. And what happens is that now we try to mimic them, we try to be like them, but we're not like them. And so inside we continue feeling like a fraud while we are trying to fake confidence. And what I teach all of my students is that you will never be comfortable in front of an audience until you learn how to feel confident instead of appear confidence. You know, there is a difference between appearing confident and feeling confident. When you feel confident, that confidence, people just see it. People, you know, you can't help but show up confident anyway. But when you only appear confident, and unfortunately a lot what you read online and a lot of what you know people teach you is how to, you know, the tips and tricks of how to fake it, how to appear confident. But the thing is, you will never ever be truly confident and truly enjoy your experience in front of an audience until you actually build up that self-confidence, until you learn how to feel confident.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing. And you don't feel confident when you're trying to be somebody you're not. And Luisa, correct me if I'm wrong, in the beginning, remember how you were like, well, I need to try and be this or that. But now you're not trying to be anybody but yourself, because it's the easiest. You're confident enough in who you are to show up and be yourself, and people respond to that, right?
Yes, I love this. And I'll just share a little bit of my story because as you were saying this, because it's been a while since I felt that way, I was like, what did I do? And so I'm actually remembering. So the good thing is I never tried to fake being confident because I agree with you. Like if you just can't, just don't fake stuff. What I did, and this is, I think, what keeps so many people stuck, because I don't know I recommend it. I was really nervous, and then I got on to my webinars and things and live streams, and I was just visibly nervous to people, and I was like, this is just how it's going to be. I'm not an expert on speaking, live, and I'm just going to be nervous. It's going to suck, but I'm an expert on the stuff I have to share. So I'm just going to talk it through. But you can see, like, I'm remembering, there would be videos where I would be like sweating while time, like, and there was even once where, because I was so nervous, I was going to have a brain freeze on a video. I had to write down my notes, right, for exactly what I was going to say. And someone asked me, are you reading from a textbook? Do you even know what you're talking about? And I had to be like, no, I'm not. And I had to hold up my handwritten notes and be like, no, I'm not reading from a textbook, but you try, speaking on live stream for the first few times. And so, like, everything you're sharing, it's just so resonating with me, and just like how I was in the beginning. And I just didn't even realize what you had shared. And the other thing I want to share, because I think a lot of people are going to relate to this, is what you said, like, trying to figure out what your style is, and in the process being like, do I need to be more like this? Do I need to be more like this? So in my industry, right, there are so many big personalities. There are people who are just like very personal, everything's laid out for you from their private lives, who are very like in your face, who are loud, who cuss, all of those things. And for me, I remember, because what happened, actually, I'm remembering, this is really important, for quite a few years, even though I was building my confidence, I was still struggling to find my style. And so I would get on and I would sound like a robot. Sometimes, I mean, it's sometimes how I think, And so if I'm not paying attention, I will go into, like, if I'm talking robot mode. But people who knew me would watch the videos and they would say, Luisa, that's not you. And so I would try, like, going, overboard a little bit to share certain things. Like, I tried being funny. I tried being informal, like all of these things that I thought I needed to do to, show more of myself, when the truth was, it wasn't me. Right. And so now I'm realizing it came from this place of really grounding into all different aspects of the confidence. So right. I wanted to share that, I definitely relate, and I think that story will be helpful to everyone watching. And so what I would love to talk about next is a little bit about, some of your tips that you can share, or just one really good tip for how to get started with grounding into that self-confidence. Because I know a lot of people are probably like, you know what, easier said than done.
I almost hear you saying that, guys. It's easier said than done. Well, tell me how. Yes, but you have to remember. So the first thing you have to remember is that what I will teach you right now will only apply if you take it to heart what I said and what Luisa said about being yourself. The thing is, when you are standing there in front of an audience or in front of a camera, you are scared, right? All of your focus is on you, right? You don't think the focus is on you, but the focus is on you because you keep on thinking, my fear, my confidence, my expertise, I'm not good enough, I don't know anything, right? You are there in your own mind, completely wrapped up in your own story. So the biggest thing that you can do that's gonna help you so much is to shift the focus away from you and your limitations that you perceive. Shift the focus away from you to your audience. This is so big, and everybody says it, right? But you really have to take it to heart, and you have to understand what it means. Shifting all the focus away from you to your audience means that when you're looking into that camera, when you're looking into that audience, you don't allow yourself to go back into that space where you're thinking, me, my fear, my confidence. Every single thought has to be focused on, how am I going to make them feel? What can I say to make them more excited? What can I say to inspire them? What can I say to make a change in their lives? What can I say to educate them in a way that nobody has so far? What can I say to change their life even if it's just this much. But when you're completely wrapped up, every time you open your mouth, when you're completely wrapped up in how I'm going to benefit people in front of me, and you stay in that zone, you don't have an opportunity to go back into, oh, I'm so scared. Because the truth is, our brain can really focus on one big thing at a time, right? We can multitask, but as far as the big thing, it's only one. So you're either focusing on, I'm scared, and everything comes from that place of fear, or you're focusing on, I'm a giver. I'm a giver, and I'm only gonna focus on giving, and I'm only gonna focus on my audience, and everything that's gonna come out of my mouth is gonna be to the benefit of my audience. And when your mindset is there, when you're only thinking about that, like literally every sentence out of your mouth, you're thinking, how can I phrase it in a way that makes a bigger impact? Then you don't have time, you don't have the opportunity to go back into the mindset of, I'm not good enough. And that's going to make such a dramatic difference in the way you feel. Because when you are not thinking about your fear and you stay connected to your audience, you stay thinking, okay, what do I need to say to make the biggest impact? What you're going to notice, like 10 minutes later, all of a sudden you're like, wait, my heart is no longer pounding. Oh, I'm no longer sweaty. Of course, you shouldn't be thinking even that, because that puts you again back and down. Oh, it's me, right? But let's say you did think that for like quarter of a second. Yeah. You will realize that the physical symptoms of fear have disappeared. And the reason for it is because you are not staying in that mindset of fear. Only when you keep on thinking about your fear, and you're looking at that camera, you're trying to do live stream, but all you're thinking about, I'm scared. I just can't wait for it to be over. Then you continue being scared. You continue experiencing the physical symptoms of fear, right? That heartbeat, that your knees are weak and your mouth is dry, all of that, right? But when you are completely and totally focused on your audience, you stay in that zone and your fear begins to go away. This is so powerful. And you have to try this. But again, when you're focusing on your audience, it's the best of you that you have to give to them, not the best of, how Luisa teaches, or how, somebody else teaches, or how, Gary Vaynerchuk talks. It's the best of you, because that's what your audience needs. And they don't care how much you are an expert in public speaking, just like Luisa said. They don't care how much you're an expert in public speaking. What they care about is how much of an expert you are in what you are sharing.
Yeah.
They're not listening to you to be, oh, I just want to listen to a good public speaking speech. No, they're listening to you because they want to hear what you have to share, and only you can share it. And so you have to remember this. And another thing you have to remember, and it goes again into benefiting your audience, thinking about your audience, is that famous quote by Maya Angelou: people don't care how much you know till they know how much you care. Sure. So as long as you're staying in that flow of, I am a giver, I am going to help, it's all for you, you take yourself out of equation, that's when you break through that fear. That's when you become to feel confident on the inside. So that's what I want you to try as soon as possible.
I love that. You know what? I love this. I'm actually going to take it one step further than, and everyone watching this, I'm going to give you some homework if you want it, which is to do exactly what Victoria said. Even if you just record something that no one else is going to see, right? Put it up on your cell phone or just use your laptop and record just like a quick, 3-minute video or less where you share one thing that you know. And imagine coming from that place, just as Victoria just described, of not being about, oh my gosh, how do I look on camera? Am I saying this the right way, et cetera, and focus on, okay, imagine one person who needs to hear this and you're talking to them and it's going to be something really powerful and life-changing for them. Like, I'm visualizing myself doing that and it's already feeling like a really powerful shift.
Absolutely. And this homework is going to make such typical Luisa. Here's a homework for you. But this is going to make such a huge difference. And remember, we're not trying to make everyone to fall in love with us. You're not going to please everybody. And in that audience of, let's say, 100 people who are watching your live stream, there may be two people who will be like, you know what, not my cup of tea.
Sure.
Whatever. But you know what? There are going to be so many people who are going to be like, wow, this is a person I am going to follow because they're real, they know what they're saying, they care about me, and it's super valuable, and I'm going to continue following them. This is what you need to focus is on making a difference in some people's lives, not let's make it so generic that everybody loves it. No, make it yours so that people who are attracted to you and your message will love it. That's very important.
Yeah, you know what? I love that. And I think that's still like so hard to continually do because I think so many of us are taught to want to connect with everybody. But when I think about the flip side, when I'm watching something or reading something where someone's obviously trying to please everybody, it's so boring,
It is.
and that turns people away too.
Right, because then you're like everybody else. If there is nothing unique about you, you're like everybody else. And that's why it's so, so, so important to not fake it till you make it, to not fake it at all. Because if you are trying to be like somebody else, and I remember when I just got into online space, I remember everybody was saying juicy content. You remember juicy content?
Oh my gosh.
I think Marie Forleo started it, but then everybody was trying to be like her. Every second person would say, hi, gorgeous, and this is such a juicy content. Everybody was saying the same thing. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do. I do.
And
It's still a thing nowadays. I mean, less to a lesser extent, but yeah, I mean, I actively, I mean, yeah, that's just, no, 2 words I try not to use at all ever.
because that makes you be like everybody else. And you're not going to stand out if you're trying to be like someone else. You're only going to stand out as you. Because look, even if let's say you're a health coach, right? And there are so many health coaches, thousands of health coaches, just in US alone, right? And in theory, everybody kind of teaches the same thing, right? In theory.
Yeah.
But in practice, what's going to set you apart and put you in a category of your own is if you insert you into everything that you teach. It's your stories, it's your anecdotes, it's your examples, it's your client stories that you insert into everything that you talk about that makes you unique. It's you being who you are versus you trying to mimic some famous health coach and try to sound like them. Never works. And the worst thing is that that's how you continue feeling like a fraud, and that's how you continue staying in that place of fear, and you never become truly confident on camera, on stage. So remember, very, very important, be yourself, say it in your own way, and your audience is going to absolutely love it.
You know what? I love this. And actually, I want to ask you a little bit more because I know you've got some great tips to help people find their style. But before we get into that, I want to take a quick side tangent. That's a very important one. And talk a little bit about how you developed the system, everything that you teach in your Brilliant Speakers Academy. And I've seen so many of your students say things like, this is unlike any type of speaking, teaching course system that I've ever heard before. And here's the key, right? So you guys know that anything that I teach is something that I've done. I don't teach theory or what should work. And I only bring in people who I know do the same. And I always love talking about this piece because someone looking at you, it's easy to fall into the trap of thinking, you know what, Victoria, you've always been good at this, probably you've always been confident. And oh, by the way, guys, really cool side note, Victoria has the largest Nutty Scientist franchise in the US. So that's like, whoa, super cool side note. And so, she definitely has so many amazing credentials, and it can be easy to be like, oh, easy for you. And so I know your story. So can you share a little bit about just like where you started out from so that no one is thinking that they have a reason to not do this or have this be possible for them, and just share a little bit about how that led into you developing the Brilliant Speakers program and system.
Well, let me start with saying that I'm an introvert, just like Luisa. And it's funny, when you see us on camera, people don't really think we're introverts.
Oh.
Never. People think, well, oh, they're so extroverted. No, oh my gosh. You know what? If I could climb under my table during a networking event and not go anywhere and just, be by myself, I would. I'm very much introverted. And it doesn't really mean that you cannot develop public speaking skills. So I started with being introverted. I moved to the US in my early 20s, so English is not my first language. And because I moved here as a young adult, I never got rid of the accent. I've been here for 25 years, and people still ask me to this day, oh, welcome. They're like, welcome. How do you like it here? So I'm like, I've been here for 25 years.
Right.
But my accent is very strong, right? So I have quite a few things going against me in the sense that it's a little harder, right? When you're an extrovert and you're like life of a party and you love to talk, I think it's a little easier. But I actually had all of this sort of disadvantages that we see as disadvantages. And what I see a lot of people do and say is that, oh, but I'm an introvert, I cannot do it. Oh, but English is not my first language, which means I'll never be able to do it. And I just want to remind everybody, look, these are just limiting beliefs that I am just as guilty of as everybody else, because that's what I was telling myself. And apart from all of this, I also had a really bad, really traumatic experience with public speaking, where at the age of 10, I was supposed to be on stage by myself in front of a microphone and recite a poem that I was just given that very day to learn. And I had to recite this from memory. And I walked in front of that audience and experienced everything that you can imagine, that terror, that fear, that complete, mind freeze, couldn't remember a word, people were giggling, I ran off stage in tears. And after that, I was like, no, I don't want to ever be in front of an audience. Public speaking is not my thing. I don't want to ever see a microphone again. And I actually stayed away. I really wasn't trying to expose myself until I started my first business pretty soon after I moved here. And that's when I realized, well, I have to do it. And so just like everybody else, I tried to do it scared. I tried to fake it till I make it. And I've gone through a lot of iterations of that, still not feeling confident at all, and still believing that it's not my thing, until I finally started realizing the mistakes I make. And I started realizing, oh, wait, I just did this and I didn't feel scared. Wow, okay, so I need to do more of this. And then I did that, and that kind of helped me. And so step by step, little by little, I started implementing those little things that I kind of was discovering. And then a few years later, I realized I'm not as terrified. And then years later, people started coming up to me, and I wasn't even thinking of teaching public speaking. Hey, that was not my childhood dream, okay? I was in IT. I was a software developer for many years. I was managing software developers, and I would do a presentation, and people would come up to me after, and they would say, "You are natural." And I'd be like, are you serious? Like, I am so scared. I used to be so scared. I'm not a natural, trust me. But when enough people come to you and say, hey, teach me, you start thinking, wait, I'm not the only one. I really didn't realize, because remember what I told you in the beginning, when you feel more scared than you appear?
Yes.
I was looking around and everybody seemed confident to me. I thought I was the only one who was scared. But I realized almost everybody is afraid of public speaking. And I thought, oh my gosh, but I know how to overcome it. I was able to do it. And me with everything, all the baggage that I had going on with me, I was able to overcome it. So I know how. And so, being obviously a former software engineer, I kind of deconstructed the whole thing and went back step by step by step and put it into a system of everything that I did myself to be able to step in front of a microphone now and not feel threatened by my audience, not feel scared at all. And this is exactly what I teach. So this became my Brilliant Speakers Academy program. This became what I teach, and I ended up here. Life is funny where it takes you. I ended up a girl who ran off stage in tears and swore she would never, ever look at the microphone again, is now teaching how to become a confident, compelling, and captivating speaker.
I love that. I mean, I already knew the story. I wanted to make sure that we called it out because, I mean, everything that you just shared basically overcomes all the objections someone has. Like, you weren't naturally confident. You didn't have innate talent for public speaking or just
Yeah.
speaking, which a lot of people assume you have to have. You weren't naturally, born charismatic like you just shared. You weren't naturally confident. All of these things that people think are the reason why they have to hold themselves back. It's just like, look, your story is the best example of you can start out with all this, not being a native English speaker. You can overcome it. It's just another skill that you can learn. Okay, so I love all of this. What I want to wrap up with is my favorite part where, and I know a lot of people are probably really wanting to know, because this is another question I get all the time where, okay, let's say I'm trying to develop my own way of showing up. Let's say it's on a webinar or on a live stream or whatever, because that really expands your business. I can't tell you how many times I personally had someone come to me and say, I watched one of your old live streams, I watched your YouTube video, or I watched some version of you being on some video, and your personality, the way you talk, it was just like, I connect with this person. And that happened.
Me. That was me.
So exactly, living the exact proof. But I mean, it happens for everyone because
Yes.
it's the best way to connect, And so I'd love for you to wrap up and share with us one or more, whatever you want to share, tips for, like, if you're just starting out, you're trying to figure out, okay, what is my style? I know my personality, but how do I communicate it on camera? Where should someone start?
You really need to learn more about yourself. A lot of times we do it subconsciously. We don't really try to imitate somebody, but we still do. So what you literally have to sit down, look inside of you, and find that core. Who am I? What do I want to represent? And as a business owner, or as somebody who wants to become a business owner, you already know that everything that you're going to do in your business is going to be for the benefit of somebody else. So you sit down and you look and say, okay, in which way can I benefit somebody else? How can me, benefit somebody else? What's special about me? What can I share? What can I include that's going to help people see me for who I am? And a lot of times you have to dig deep, and you have to look at what is my story? If, let's say, let's take example of a health coach. Let's say you're teaching people how to lose weight. You probably are teaching people how to lose weight because you either did it yourself, or you helped somebody else, and you're like, whoa. And maybe you did it yourself, but it's not just, oh, well, I was 200 pounds and now I'm 150 pounds. You need to dig deep and look inside yourself and say, okay, what changed inside my life? Who am I now compared to that person? Or maybe I'm still that same girl. And let me tell you guys, it makes no difference. You lose weight. You need to keep who you are, that kindness, that being that wonderful, beautiful person that you were, but you just became a little healthier. You find your story. I don't want to use the word angle. It is kind of finding your angle, but it sounds a little more formulatic. So I don't want you to think of it as an angle, because that kind of sounds fake. But finding your story, finding who you are, and then everything that you say on camera or on stage in front of people comes from that story. But again, it's your story. You're not making it up. You know who you are and what made you you. So you look at all of that. Why was it important for you to lose weight? Or maybe, maybe you are a college consultant, right? You're helping kids get in college and in the college of their dream. Maybe somebody wants to get in Harvard, and that's how you help them. Why? What's your story? And there is always a driver that makes you want to be in this business, and that driver is usually really big, but sometimes it's hidden, and you want to make that driver known, because the driver is not money, right? You can start a mosquito killing business, in a wooded neighborhood to make money. There has to be a certain driver that makes you choose the business you're in, right? That's important for you. And I think that's how you bring yourself into everything that you do. And that's as long as you really focus on it and you really think this through, and you remember to infuse that into every live stream that you do, into every presentation that you do, people respond to that. And it's easier for you as well because you're not trying to make up stuff that you don't believe in. You truly know your story, you know who you are, you believe in what you're saying. That makes you feel confident. That makes you feel like somebody who is not being a fake, and it's very, very, very important. So that's where I would start. Find who you are, find your story, find your why.
I love that. And because I have to say, it's also so natural and fun, you know, like I'm sure so many of us love taking personality tests and figuring out like, you know, what do I want to talk about? How do I, it's just like, it's a fun piece and it's so powerful. And I love the way that you're thinking about it, where it's like, look, take the analytical piece out. If you naturally just speak from your heart, it will naturally hit on all the angles that you need to, while bringing out your personality, right? Your beliefs, your brand voice, all of those things, it very naturally comes from that place. And so what you've done is given people kind of like a shortcut, essentially, a really powerful one to really get to the core of the matter and bring all of it out.
Yeah.
I love that.
Thank
Oh,
you.
oh my gosh, no, that's amazing. Okay, so let me do a quick check with you because those are all the list of questions I wanted to make sure that I asked you. Is there anything that you feel like I haven't asked that you wanted to leave anyone watching with?
No, I think we had a really, really good conversation, and I think you guys have a lot to think about.
Yeah.
And you have a homework, and you have your starting point. And again, I just want to remind you not to make this mistake, which I see a lot, is you finally decide, okay, I'm gonna go on that live stream, and you turn on the camera and you go like, guys, forgive me, I am so scared, but let me continue. Again, remember, never ever tell your audience that you're nervous. Never ever tell your audience you're scared, because we feel more scared than we appear. They would never know. So just skip that and go straight into speaking from the heart, speaking to benefit your audience. Do not make the mistake of apologizing about something that is not even going to be a deal at all once you start speaking. So believe in yourself. Believe in yourself. This is not a talent. If it was a talent, trust me, none of us would be here. It's not a talent. Do not have as a talent. It is not a talent. It's a skill, and like any skill, it can be taught, it can be learned, it can be internalized, and it can be practiced. But it's very, very important to remind yourself all of the things that we've talked about today, and you will be on your way to becoming a truly amazing speaker.
I love that. Okay, guys. Yeah, as Victoria said, there's so much here to really think through and absorb. So I'm going to wrap this up and let you guys do that. I will say, you guys, if you want to check out Victoria some more, you can go to her website at byvictorial.com, byvictorial.com. And there are some other cool things that Victoria is doing that I'm going to share with you guys in the next few days. So make sure you look out for that. But for now, just plenty of homework, plenty of takeaways. Really want to make sure you do that. And we'll talk to you guys soon. Bye, everyone.
Thank you so much for having me. Good luck, guys.